Traditionally, we're often told that to study chess we should study the endgame and we shouldn't put too much focus on the openings. Now, why is this? Well, it's true that a study of the endgame will increase your chess understanding, that's for sure, but you really have to get into the position. I heard a story the other day about Smyslov spending 3 weeks on an ending with just 5 pieces, so that he could subsequently play it perfectly. All very well, but I don't know about you, I don't really have 3 weeks to spend on just one single ending. I doubt many professional chess players have either. So although studying the endgame is important, and we will think about that next week and identify some key principles for playing in the endgame, learning specific positions is, can be a bit impractical, especially if they're unlikely to come up in our own games. Now, we're told not to study too much on the opening. And I think the reason we're told this is that a lot of people used to study the openings just to the end of a theoretical sequence, say to move 15 or around about there, without really understanding. They would just learn the moves part fashion. And as we spoke about at the beginning of the course, if you study to remember, you will forget. If you study to understand, you will remember. So I think traditionally the way people studied openings was incorrect, which is why we've ended up with these 2 pieces of advice, to focus on the endgame and not too much on the opening. However, the reality is, in my experience, strong players give this advice, and when they end up playing people that they've given this advice to, they end up beating them in less than 20 moves. The student didn't get out of the opening alive, he was too busy studying the endgame. So obviously there's a gap between theory and practicality. Now, another point to note is that this advice probably came from a few years ago, back when there weren't computers and the internet, back in the days of perhaps Capablanca and the champions of yesteryear, early 1900s. What else could they study? They couldn't really study the opening, and the endgame with fewer pieces was easier to study than the middle game. So that's where they put their focus. But now, with the internet, with computers, databases, not only are we able to study the opening, but we absolutely must. Now, we know from the course that the correct way to study chess is to play through complete games from beginning to end, and no less true for openings. When we're studying particular openings, we must get into the middle game and even into the end game to understand the typical manoeuvres, piece placements, tactics, pawn structures, etc. So we're going to be looking a little bit further at how to study openings during the course of the week. We'll also think about what's our playing style. What do we prefer? What do we feel most comfortable in? Although we want to be universal players, we'd be foolish to ignore this and to, where possible, steer the game via the opening into positions that we feel at ease with. It could be a great point scorer. We'll also think about, obviously, which openings match our style, which pawn structures, and various questions we'll be asking ourselves in order to match our openings to our playing style and to the type of positions that we do better in. I'll conclude today by just mentioning another world champion, Kasparov. He was the one that really took openings to another level. He made excellent use of current technology, and he got his team to look deeper and deeper into openings, deeper than anyone had ever gone, to really get into the heart of the position and understand what each of his chosen openings were about. And even they would come back to him, having gone further than anyone else, and he would tell them to go even further. So study openings from beginning to end. Study the complete game to get a good feel for it. Just have a little look at the diagrams below. There's the primary openings, if you like, that occur most often, which are the most sound openings and which masters play. And if we can incorporate these openings into our repertoire, we could use them for our entire chess career. Tomorrow we'll talk a little bit more about how to choose which openings for us and how to maximise our results by using the openings and our openings choices. This is Roy Phillips. Thanks for your attention.